If you watch the first 30 seconds of this video, you'll know that this is not just a hyped up 50x by X date type of YouTube video. This is your Hopium free crypto channel across all of YouTube. And in today's video, I'm going to look at specific examples that we have just seen in the last few months and how to plan this out to turn your $1,000 into $100,000. The realistic approach and showing you the unrealistic approach with examples, of course. So make sure you have smashed, destroyed, gently touched the like button down below, subscribe to the channel, bell notification icon so you can see more of this content pop up. And of course, the cryptos that I'll be talking about today are cryptos that we follow on the channel. So we're looking at when to get in, when to get out, those 10x's, 20x's that we need to get to this 100x portfolio. So the first example is CRO, and this is a recent one that we can easily show how this works out. And if you want to be up to date with this stuff, check out the Patreon link in the description down below. Top of the list there, limited spots. So make sure you're looking at that and go through and have a look to learn more about trading and investing full-time with plans like stuff that I'm about to show you in today's video. So from the low, March 2020. Now I'm not talking about you had to be in 2 years ago, because I know many people weren't buying crypto at that time. If they were, we would have a lot higher prices. In the last few months, we were covering this in Patreon and for premium members as well. They get to learn more about the charts and how to trade. And we're looking at breakout levels and following these things through. I want to go through specific questions that you can ask yourself in order to formulate a plan so that you can get to these 10x's, because you hear about it all the time. 10x this, 20x that, 50, 100x the other thing. But what does that mean mentally? You know, that's the biggest part of all of this. People don't believe it, but you just try and sell on one of these cryptos. Currently, I'm sitting up over 10x on CRO right now. I need to pull the trigger. I need to sell this thing. It's at 73 cents. You could be watching this in 3 months' time and CRO has gone to $5 or it's crashed to 50 cents. I don't know, or 5 cents, right? But this is live. This is what's happening right now. This is something I've been accumulating for a long time, but more recently, it was easy to get this thing at these lows that are around that 8 cents, 9 cents, 10 cents. And so now it's hit a high of 80.6. You can see it over there. And as I'm filming this, it's currently sitting at 73 cents. Today, it's getting very volatile. It's dropping up and down. It was at 68, punched up to 80, back down to 73. So this really will skew that 10x, whether it's a 10x or a 5x or a 12x, right? So this is the biggest part. Let's have a look at the rules and at least some of the questions that we need to ask ourselves in order to get to this plan. So do you have the plan? Now, do you have the patience to hold on for these rides? Do you have the patience for 3 months? Do you have the patience for many months? Could you have held on from these 2 cent lows in order to get your 34x to the exact top so far? So we've got 3,300% here, 34x. That's a 2 cent low. Do you have the staying power for 610 days? Can you sell? Have you ever tried selling something? You know, when it has big gains, have you actually clicked the button to sell? A lot of people say, I just got to hold on and wait and see what happens later. But if you've never tested yourself out hitting that sell button, the game gets really hard when you actually have to go and do it. Have you taken some risk off the table as well? If you take risk off the table, it really lightens the emotional load as the market climbs up. Because even if you miss out on the top, okay, at least you're not going to lose any money. And are you mentally ready for bigger numbers? Because like I said earlier on, we're looking at a 1,000 to 100,000 and the bull markets don't last forever. You know, this one might be one of the longest ones we see, but if you're not mentally prepared to trade from $100 lots to $10,000 lots in a very short period of time, it's not going to happen. And the majority of people aren't ready for that. I definitely know I wasn't. So I'm speaking from experience here. Doing those small trades into bigger trades, you sort of get comfortable at maybe you go 10x and you start trading $1,000 lots instead of the $10,000 lots to get to that position. That is something that you'll only know with time, and maybe you'll have to test yourself out in this bull run and get ready for the next bull run, because you don't have to stress. There are always more opportunities. You just have to be patient. And maybe it's not in crypto. Maybe it's going to be in penny stocks in the stock market. Have you tested your risk tolerance? Like, are you able to watch markets rise 1,000%, which is your 10, 11x, and then watch it drop 50% against you, and then move on to another 10x from that point? That's your risk tolerance. How do you feel when you see big drawdowns? Are you prepared to be right 3 times out of 10? Looking at comment sections on Twitter and YouTube, majority of people aren't prepared to be wrong at least 1 time, let alone 7 times. So are you prepared to be wrong 7 out of 10 times? Because you can still do this in the maths. You've probably seen the maths before, but at least let's put a plan together and action something at that point in time, because you can still be right 3 times, wrong 7 times, and still get to that point of view. The main thing is going to be the mental game, because losing 7 times, it normally doesn't work. You can't be wrong 7 times in school, in university, in your job, and still have a job, or get that grade, that A grade, of course. But in investing, you could be wrong 95% of the time. But if that one pays off out of 20, then and pays off really big, then you're still going to survive and make huge gains. So this is where it flips. It's nothing like work or school or university. That stuff is BS. You never get to those big numbers thinking the way you would with a job or university. Are you prepared to do the work on different exchanges? I hear a lot of people say, where is this crypto? It's not on this easy exchange to use, Coinbase, SwiftX, whatever. You need to be prepared to do the work. Get on decentralized exchanges, open up different exchanges with different in different jurisdictions, different countries. Maybe it's in China or somewhere in the Middle East. I don't know. The risk increases substantially when you have to go and do these things. But if you're not prepared to put in the work, you're not prepared to get that money. And especially if you're starting out with a very small amount. Sorry if that offends some people. But if you're starting out with $1,000, it's going to be a lot more work to get to the $100,000 than if you're starting out with $10,000 or $50,000. It should be obvious, but some people want to get all of the gains for not doing the work. And of course, think about what is your end goal. Do you want to sell out into stablecoins and remain in crypto? Do you want to sell out into some metals? Do you want to sell out into Bitcoin and ETH? And that's your target. No matter what the price of Bitcoin and ETH do, you just want to end up with 10 Bitcoin, 1 Bitcoin, 50 ETH, whatever it may be. Have that goal in mind. Maybe you want to buy a property at the end of this. That's just a beginning to having a plan. If you can't answer this stuff here, forget about trying to go 100x from 1,000 to 100,000. Just buying something like ADA at 2 cents and it's skyrocketing to $2 and thinking you're going to sell out. If you didn't understand at least some of these things before you got into ADA, you wouldn't have the patience, you wouldn't have the mental the mindset to be able to hold those numbers up. You wouldn't have the risk tolerance to watch it go from 2 cents to 12 cents and drop back down to 7 cents and then up to $1.50 and drop back down to 90 cents. You just wouldn't have this. The being rights and being wrongs, you might have thought you were wrong. You'll get out. Are you prepared to do the work on different exchanges? These are all sort of things that you have to have at least thought about in order to get to this 1 to 100x. Next is the unrealistic plan. So the unrealistic plan is someone starts with $1,000. They might think they put $1,000 in, the crypto goes to 100x, they get 100 grand and they sell out and that's it, right? Or they put in $10,000 and it goes to $1 million and that's it. Of course, this isn't the way it works in real time. Maybe you're splitting up into 10 lots and you think all of those are going to be winners, and there's your $1,000, you split it up into 10, and then now you've got 10 lots of $100, they've all gone up 10x. Now you got 10 grand, you do it all over again, now you got 100 grand. Of course, this doesn't work like this, but I think in a lot of our minds, I definitely thought this was potential, there was a possibility, especially with everything going up, that you could get this. Now let's look at the more realistic, but still challenging approach, all right? So we're starting with $1,000. Now I'm gonna show you 1,000, and I'll show you 10,000 as well. The 1,000 takes a lot more work. I won't go through all of these numbers, but you can pause it and have a look. The first lot, you have 3 winners, 7 losers. $100 times 10 times 3, because we have 3 winners, they're going to go up 10x. We're aiming for this 10x. And the reason being is that we're looking at it here. Say CRO has done this 10x, 80 cents, and the low in June was just under 8 cents. So the exact low to the exact high. Of course, it's not always going to be the case, but just a few months earlier, a year earlier, we were sitting at around 5 cents. So even if you took a chunk out of the middle, and they still have the possibility to be selling right now and getting just a bit more than 10x at that point, the opportunities are still there in the market, but it's going to take a lot more work. Now, if you think these are one-offs, of course they're not. We have a lot of examples that are currently at 10x's. Look at Luna, for example. At the lows, this was at around a few bucks. We got $4 here, but it did spike down to around 3. It spiked out at around $54, probably a little higher, because this only logs the closing price, not the spikes. And we're currently sitting at 41. So if you did have Luna, you bought it at these crashes, within 4 or 5 months, you've got the 10x there. Do you sell out at 10x and then continue this process looking at the numbers that we just looked at here? Or do you hold on and wait for the 20x to make things a little easier? You know, you've got to look at that downside, which then comes back to the rules that we were looking at. Are you mentally prepared for big numbers to go up and down? Are you prepared for your risk tolerance? You know, can you watch this drop a whole lot against you? So these are some of the examples there. Also on the channel, we have looked at Solana, which I'll come back to SHIB, but Solana, talking about it, you can see the receipts here. We're looking at $23, and then we could sell out for just more than a 10x at the moment. Currently sitting at around that $230, and it's spiked out at the moment for $260. And as I said, if you're watching this in the future, it's all the same. It's all the same numbers, but you could have a lot more, or you could have a lot less if you don't take the 10x and you wait for bigger gains. So this is another 10x, CRO 10x, Solana 10x. Have we got Avalanche? I know a lot of people are sitting on a 10x at least with Avalanche. Again, in around July, it was sitting around $9, $10, and now it's currently sitting at $133. So do you sell out for that 10x, or do you hold on for bigger gains? Also had ADA. That's an easy 10x at the moment. Badger DAO, this is a smaller market cap, so you can happen on all different market caps. So you're prepared to get outside of your comfort zone and look for other cryptos which may have those moves. Badger dropped down to about $3 to $4 in that spike low in May, and then continued down. It only says 6 here, but if you look at those spike lows and you're watching the charts, because it does take some work, this isn't just throw your money in and hope for the best, you'd be getting in around that $4, $5, $6, and it did spike out around it got around $50, and it's still in an uptrend at the moment, looking to see if this goes any further. So this is a smaller market cap and tends to work well with Bitcoin. So as Bitcoin's doing well, Badger's looking like it's doing well. It's in the DeFi space for Bitcoin. So just understanding these sorts of projects. And I'll look at a few more later on in this video, but we want to understand these numbers. So we have done it 3 times. You know, it does take some work. These are the numbers. Flipped it over, $2,300 because you account for your losers. Flip it over again, winners, losers, $5,300. Winners, losers, $1,200, 4 times around in this process of finding 10x's, 36,000 winners, 8,500 losers. Now we have 28, and so on and so on. So it takes us 6 times with 6 rounds of 10x's, getting 3 wins and 7 losers on them. That's a lot of trading. That's a lot of time. That's why I say this is more realistic. It's a lot of work, but remember, you're trying to do $1,000 to $100,000 or 10,000 to $1 million. If it was that easy, everyone would be getting it, but of course you know that they aren't. And these are just the pure numbers that come down to it. Add to that, like I've said before, some of your preparation, your mental preparation to get there, and now you've got the maths with the plan. If you want something that's a little bit more realistic, start with 10 grand to get to 100 grand. Now, I know it's not the 100x, it's the 10x instead, but you only have to do it 3 times. And remember, depending on where you're starting in this crypto journey, maybe this is the last leg of the bull run until we get a big bear market where you could probably start with a lower amount to get a bigger amount. But later on, maybe you want to go 10,000 into 100,000, or if you only have $1,000, go for 1,000 to 10,000 and test it out. This is your education. If you lose $1,000, you lose it. You're going to learn, in my belief, of course, a lot more than going to university to try and do this thing. Practice in the real markets. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just speaking from experience. I prefer practicing and learning from my mistakes, of course. So start with 10 grand, and you only have to flip it over 3 times, 121,000. And I say only, and there still is 30 coins in there to get, but remember, you're only going for a win ratio of 30%. You only need to get 30%. So the 10,000 to 100,000 is obviously a lot easier, but of course, some people don't have 10 grand to start with, and they still have really high goals. Not trying to put you off, but it is possible. But just, of course, just remember, it's going to take some work. So we looked at some coins that have recently done it or are currently sitting at that 10x. So ask yourself, do you want to get to that goal of 100 grand, or do you even have a goal, whatever that may be? Go back and look at the beginning of the video and look at the plan. In the meantime, make sure you've liked, subscribed, maybe share this video with someone that you feel will find some value from it, because it goes a long way to pushing the video up in the YouTube algo. But enough with that. The 5 cryptos which have done it: AVAX, CRO, Sol, Luna, SHIB. I put in Zen and ADA as well. ADA, of course, was a earlier on crypto. Zen is something that I talked about on the channel as one of the ones that I did do about a 20x on, because it was crazy. It went from $3 to $180. This is from one of the legacy coins of 2017, and there are those coins, but there are going to be some which work and some which don't. So make sure you are paying attention to the fundamentals as well as the charts. Often there are a lot of cryptos which seem to be good things, but they just won't get there. They won't push through. They don't have the pumpermentals in the market. Let's look at something like CRO. The pumpermentals at the moment this is a fantastic platform. I have links to this in the description down below if you guys want to sign up to CRO, start playing with it, see what it's like as a product if it was something that you would think of buying a year or 2 years ago. I use this since 2017. There are videos on the channel, I think early 2018, videos on the channel. You can get up to 14% passive income on stable coins. You get a few percent on your cryptos. You got a crypto debit card, which I talk about using as well. So the links are down here. You get free $25 US of CRO. You're getting all of that through those earlier stages. Now they've 10x. So you had $25 US. Now it's $250 US. There's a lot to go with the fundamentals of something like CRO. And if you're interested in buying it, check out CoinSpot. Link is down below, or the crypto.com app, which you can get on your phone. So I'm just thinking about all of the fundamentals, the apps, the product itself, the DeFi app, it all works good. So the main point here is that the fundamentals are looking amazing at the moment for CRO. And it might be coming towards one of these peaks. So keep that in mind as well. As you go on with your list of cryptos which are getting to that 10x, are they looking like they're peaking out with huge news, $700 million deals to put their names on stadiums, So keep that in mind with your plan as well. Now, stuff which may be something to look at, things that haven't pumped up yet but are potentially consolidating. I like the likes of Theta, Matic, Vet, GRT, Sand, Engine, and Chiliz. The pumpermentals here, they had the moves earlier on in the bull market and have since been resting. And so I like to get stuff which does have a good user base to it, or there's a lot of excitement about it, but isn't getting the attention right now. And of course, metaverses and NFTs are on and off. Some of these have pumped, but they're sort of sitting around a few billion to a few hundred million in the market caps. And potentially, there's no guarantees in investing. We have that opportunity to move to that 10x. So we can see CRO has jumped well and truly into the top 20. Matic is sitting on the outside, and it was one of the stars of the first half. And of course, if Ethereum's doing well, it's possible, it's likely that Matic might do well as well. Again, I have to stress that there are no guarantees in this game. Vet was also a star early on. It has this low market cap where people think it's cheap. Can it get to a 10x from here? It's going to be a lot more difficult than something that's outside of this 8 billion market cap. Of course, this would have to get to an $80 billion market cap. So always make sure that you're following the market caps of the cryptos that you're on. We're also looking at the likes of Theta and FTT. So Theta's down here at $6.7 billion market cap. Does it have the potential? Sure. Can it do it this round? Keep watching the charts and just make sure that you start to see that momentum build on the news and the fundamentals. The likes of Mana being in the metaverse. Sand is also a big player up there. And we're also looking at, of course, Engine and GRT. So these are all sort of things that I'm looking at to be able to get me into that next space. Now, leading on to the DOT ecosystem. These are a little more high risk. I'm looking at Mover, EFI, KSM, RMRK. Let's call it Remark. I don't know what it's called. The ticker symbol's RMRK. I honestly don't care. I'm not going to get emotionally attached to these. The idea is what I'm attached to is the 10x's. I want to get these 10x's. I don't need to fall in love with the project. I just need to hit it and quit it, make the money, roll the money into the next 10x or loss, still possible, and then move on to the next one. KSM is sitting up here. It's at a 3 billion. Could it get to that 30 billion? Now that's looking a little more likely. Maybe it only gets to a 5x, and I have to continue to watch the chart so that I don't lose the gains that I've made as well. Now, of course, this is just a sample of cryptocurrencies that I've been following. I can't follow all 10,000 of them. So let me know in the comments down below, what are your cryptocurrencies that you think are going to get 10x in this next stage of the bull market, and then you can come back and have a look at them to see whether you were right or wrong, or how close you were to getting to this 10x and multiplying that account by 100x. If you want to learn more about trading cryptocurrencies and investing for full-time, long-term financial freedom, check out the link to Patreon down below. And while you're there, like, share, subscribe, follow us on Instagram and Twitter using the official links so you don't get scammed by those scammers out there. And I'll catch you guys at the next video. Until then, have more fun to get more done.